Uber rival Taxify has rebranded as Bolt, and they are relaunching to take on Uber. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and you might have remembered a few stories we did several months ago about a new ride-sharing company in the UK called Taxify. They were going to be a big competitor to Uber and Lyft. However, their launch pretty much became a non-starter because a day after they had launched, they were forced to shut down for not complying with regulations. Now, if they were Uber, they would have defied those regulations and just kept on operating as if nothing had happened, or at least seen what they could get away with. But Taxify was a little different. They decided they were going to work within the regulations. And one of those regulations, by the way, was probably renaming their company to Bolt, because I do know, at least in the US, if you call yourself Taxi, you're a transportation company and have to be regulated as such. Uber was once called Uber Cab, now it's just Uber. So funny how that works out. Anyway, the company is back and they have been throwing some serious shade at Uber. However, before we talk about any of that, let's have a word from our sponsors.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, I'm Jonathan with gigworker.com, and we've been commissioned to conduct a survey by an insurance company that's getting ready to put out a new insurance product specifically for Uber and Lyft drivers. But they want to get some information from drivers that will help them tweak the insurance so it really fits our needs. So I wanted to invite you to participate in the survey because they're going to use your answers to help them design the cheapest Uber and Lyft insurance available. Not only will it be cheaper, but it will cover a lot more, like lost wages when you can't work because your car is in the shop. Think about that. So if you're an Uber or Lyft driver, would you take about 5 minutes to complete the survey? Kevin said he'll leave a link down below in the description. If you could click on that at the end of the video, that would be great.
According to City AM, Taxify relaunches in London under Bolt branding and challenge to Uber. Now you'll notice the date of this is June 11th, which means, yes, we are a little late talking about this one. However, this one kind of flew under the radar for me, so forgive me. I kind of felt like an idiot for missing this one. So we're going to talk about it now, but I acknowledge it's a little late. So here's what the article says. The European ride-hailing firm formerly known as Taxify is today relaunching its services in London 2 years on from being forced to halt rides in the capital. The firm, which first entered the UK market in 2017 via the purchase of an existing private hire business, had its third-party license suspended by Transport for London, TfL, you gotta love those guys, just 3 days after its debut. Now rebranded as Bolt, the Estonian startup is promising lower prices for users and higher pay for drivers in a bid to challenge Uber's stranglehold on the market. We made some mistakes and we basically had to restart the application process with TfL, which we completed 2 weeks ago, Chief Executive Marcus Villing told City AM. Villing said Bolt had already toppled Uber's monopoly in other European cities by being, quote, as automated and as frugal as possible in its operations. Ride-hailing is a very capital-intensive business, he added. We're already the biggest European operator, and we're ready to take the investments necessary to make Bolt successful in the London market. Unlike other tech startups, and there's an ad ruining my flow right there, Bolt is planning to stay focused on Europe for now rather than chase expansions to the US. Quote, there's so much room in Europe and Africa, we'll remain focused on these markets for the next 5 years to come. He said the firm has more than 20,000 drivers in London already wanting to sign up to the platform. Backed by the likes of car giant Daimler and Chinese ride-hailing firm Didi Chuxing, Bolt has raised more than $184 million, and there goes the article again. Boy, I hate these ads, but I'm not going to get an ad blocker because, I'm sorry, as someone who relies on ads for money himself, I can't in good conscience actually deprive other people from their money. Bolt has raised more than $185 million to date and is already valued at more than $1 billion. The firm is currently in talks with another round of funding, but Villing declined to expand further. And by the way, one of the ways that they want to expand is, of course, by luring drivers to take home more pay. This is how simple it is, Uber. So let's see here. Let's see. Well, let's just look at this one because this actually talks more about the features as well, where it said its recent name change from Taxify to Bolt reflects the widening scope of the business that now extends to private cars, e-scooters, and motorcycles, as well as food delivery in some parts of the world. So yeah, they're basically becoming Uber for London. There's the old logo, there's a new one. Bolt's app in London will launch with an in-app panic button. The SOS service provides an added layer of safety for passengers by contacting the Metropolitan Police directly when activated, which is something it took Uber and Lyft years to get to. To protect them from unwanted abuse, drivers can access the in-app panic button service in the same way as passengers. Oh, they're even thinking of the drivers. That's nice. Marcus Vealing, founder and CEO of Bolt, said, "We're excited to be entering the UK market by launching Bolt in the nation's vibrant and cosmopolitan capital. London deserves more choice in ride-hailing, and we believe Bolt offers what passengers and drivers want: a fair, reliable, and affordable service. Across the globe, we've seen the positive effects that lower prices for passengers and better working conditions for drivers can have on communities. We're committed to bringing our customer-focused approach to London and give people the chance to get behind a European brand." Samuel Rakiti, I think that's how you pronounce it, expansion manager Bolt, commented, "We think Londoners will love Bolt. Our trips are cheaper, safer, and more reliable than the alternatives. Even after our 50% promotion ends, customers will save on average between 5 and 10% on each trip with our lower fares." And the way that they are probably making more money from this, by the way, here's where the important part for the drivers if you're in London. "But Bolt benefits don't end with our passengers. We believe in treating our drivers with care and respect too. Bolt drivers are guaranteed to keep at least 85% of their fares no matter what. Our focus as a company has always been providing our drivers with higher revenue per trip, as we're firm in our belief that happier drivers mean happier passengers. And drivers will pay a reduced commission of 7.5% for 2 months as part of the launch promotion." Oh my gosh, where can I get in on this? I would totally drive for this. "In the long run, drivers using Bolt can expand to earn over 10% more on average than with other platform. Bolt takes only 15% commission from its drivers, which is up to half the commission taken by other operators." Which, by the way, again, that's depending if you trust that they're only taking 25%. Because as we all seen with many videos from me and other Uber tubers, Uber and Lyft typically take as high as 50%. In some cases, more than 50% of the fare. It's not fair and it's not right. So, here's the thing. Will Bolt be a success? Well, if they can keep the cost lower than Uber, then that will help them a lot. If they can keep their drivers happy, that will be a huge benefit. Because here's the thing. One of the downsides to making more money on a platform is if you're not getting rides, you're not making any money anyway. So people might eventually deflect to Uber, as it were, anyway. So it's not a guaranteed thing, is what I'll say. This is still very, very much an experiment. However, it is nice to see a competitor to Uber in London. And I believe they will expand at some point. I did read another article, and I can't find it right now, but it was a real funny article. I think it was Business Insider. And the CEO threw some major shade at Uber. Because people asked, how are you going to be successful and make money where Uber and Lyft don't make money? And his response was something along the lines of, well, we're not going to throw money into fire. Something to that effect. Basically, we're not going to be wasting money on self-driving cars. We're not going to be expanding into drone delivery. We're not going to be spending money on products that don't work. We are just going to take our cut, and it will be good, and we will slowly expand, and we will make more money as we get more drivers and more customers. Which, by the way, this is so how a business is supposed to be run. The way businesses should be run is you open a store. And if that store is successful, you open another store. I cannot really fathom how we got to a point where people pour billions and billions of dollars into companies that lose money for years and never take a profit on the hope that one day this company can control a particular market. And that kind of funding might even come to an end at some point because the government is getting more and more serious about breaking up tech monopolies, which means investors might not have any choice but to wait for companies to open that first store. They might say, hey, we're going to take over this industry. Investors might even pause, say, well, that's nice, except you take over it and it's going to be broken up anyway. So really, what's the point? At least that's what I think could happen in theory. Don't know for sure, of course. However, I'm pretty excited for Bolt. I'm really excited. I hope they do well. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave that one because, hey, there's really not a whole lot to talk about. You know, Bolt was Taxify. Now they aren't. They're going to pay their drivers better. They got their license, which is what Uber, I think, had to basically react to. But Bolt was pre-active about that for the most part. So, you know, might work out for them. Anyway, what do you folks think? Are any of you going to drive for Bolt if you live in that market? I would love to know. So, comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly, and you get access to my Patreon's exclusive blog. Also, if gas prices are getting you just a little down, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. If you want more content from me, consider subscribing to the Apptrepreneur Vlogs channel. It's a little different than what we do here. However, you might still enjoy yourself. And finally, if you want to talk to me or other fellow rideshare drivers, check us out at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. And as always, blame responsibly. Have a good one.